From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to OpenLine. I am Ben Hall, doing one of my favorite things tonight. We are talking politics. No better time to do that than in the midst of this presidential election. There is plenty to discuss. My question for you tonight is, what do you think of this presidential election? Interpret that question however you want. You can call in and tell us who you're going to vote for. You can call in and tell us what you think about what's going on with this election. Just whatever you want to say. I'm interested in what you have to say. And I'm very happy to have with us political expert, political science professor, MTSU Dean, John Weil. Thank you for being here so much.
Pleasure.
Professor Weil. Once again, good to have you on here. So I start with you. What do you think of this presidential election?
I think it's a little nastier than some that we've had, particularly the last debate. You know, I have been contemplating for 3 or 4 weeks, you know, what was going to be the October surprise. And it's like we got two at once. One expected, sort of the WikiLeaks, and frankly, you know, Clinton must have pixie dust on her or something for, you know, the way that story has been sort of smothered by the tapes of, you know, of Trump. And frankly, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure that they're all that new, but they seem, you know, they seem a little bit, they seem to cross the line from prurience to, you know, assault, or, you know, something a little bit more malevolent perhaps than you typically associate with the Playboy. So who knows? I'm
interested in how these things come out. So you have this October, a lot of October surprises.
Yes.
I feel like somebody somewhere is giving this a lot of thought. You have this tape that comes out about Donald Trump. It's obviously been around for a long time. It comes out on a Friday right in October.
Yes.
You have these releases of emails coming out,
and they're sort of a steady drip. I mean,
what if Hillary Clinton were not running against Donald Trump? I mean, I think these things would be devastating potentially to her campaign.
I agree.
You know, just this steady sort of drip, and maybe that is the Russians. I mean, that's what certainly the U.S. government is saying, is the Russians trying to interfere in our election, and this steady drip of information. But what you have with some of this stuff coming out about Donald Trump is it's overshadowing the emails of Hillary Clinton. So there's all this stuff out there. You think this is nastier than what you've seen? Because they're all pretty nasty.
I do think that it's nastier. And, you know, there are certainly some parallels, not so much to an election as during the period of the Bill Clinton impeachment. You know, similar kinds of issues. And I think one reason that the outcome may be different and that Trump may suffer more than Clinton did electorally is, whatever else people want to say, Trump really doesn't have much of a history with the Republican Party. He really didn't have that much of a history of even voting in elections. And so the loyalty that you might give a Romney or a McCain who's been around for a long time, you know, you presumably have developed a little bit more trust in that person's character and policies. And with Trump, he's so much of an unknown, and you know, and now he seems almost to be warring as much against, you know, he's sort of grouping not Clinton and the Democratic opponents with the Republican establishment.
It's astounding. Yeah, he's attacking the biggest people in his party.
Yeah, and
you don't normally see those people kind of walk away from the nominee of their own party. It's kind of astounding.
I mean, there was something a little similar in '96 where the Republican Party, the elite sort of decided that Dole was not going to win, and they were going to put more of their resources in protecting the Congress. But here, it really is going to be, you know, it's not simply that they're reallocating resources, they're almost fleeing in some cases from the candidate.
All right, and one more question, then I'm going to start taking your calls.
Yeah.
So again, this is all about you all. What do you think about Trump saying he wants to put Hillary Clinton in jail over and over again?
It scares me, frankly. You know, we've had two sort of comparable times in American history. One was in 1798 when the Federalists were in power, and they could see the rising tide of Democratic Republicans, and so they passed a sedition law which makes it a crime to criticize the government or the president. And then another parallel that you had was during the Nixon administration, where he compiles an enemies list, goes to the FBI, various governmental agencies, and seeks to prosecute individuals. We need to be in a position where we can recognize the difference between political differences, which can be very, very profound, and criminality. And sometimes politicians do commit crimes, and had they not been looked into in the case of Clinton, I think there would be a little bit stronger case. I think the verdict, as I understand it, seems to be that she did some foolish things, but that it's very unlikely that they could prove or that a jury would convict of any kind of criminal intent. And so I think it still speaks to, perhaps issues of judgment, but I just don't think there's a criminal case there. And I'm sure some reasonable people disagree, but
you may get some people who disagree. But let's see. Yeah. Let's see. We're going to start going through the phones here. Let's go to Jay. Hello, Jay.
Good evening. Thanks for taking my call. I love talking about politics.
I do too. Go right ahead.
I do as well.
Yes, sir. Professor, I think it's a shame of all the people, smart people on the Democratic and Republican side, we wind up with these two bozos. And mainly, I'm voting for Trump because of Pence. I like Pence better than any of them. I think he's more presidential. And also, I've got a 12-year-old son that I have to try to explain this stuff to when he's watching the debate with me because he studies it for school. And I just think it's, embarrassing. My family's got friends in England, and they're over there laughing about this election. I just wondered what your thoughts were, and I'll hang up. Thank you.
Well, what do you think about that?
I would actually go farther and say I think a lot of people in both parties would be happier if both tickets were reversed. I think Kane has some advantages over Clinton, not quite as experienced as she is, but not some of the high negatives that she does. And I do think, I think Pence is a very decent man. I think he garnered some, those who are Trump supporters. He backed away from Trump's statements without, abandoning ship, and I think some people respect him for that.
Just today's politics is so focused on tearing down. When it gets down to two people, they're so focused on tearing down the other person that every 4 years we hear that. I don't know how we just got these two. How is it with all these qualified people we're down to these two? Well, it happened because there were, primaries and...
Well, and maybe one reason, particularly on the Republican side, that it happened is that we did have so many candidates that, you could see advantages to the whole range of candidates, and they sort of split the vote, whereas you have one sort of newcomer with his, apparent straight talk.
That people find refreshing. People do like that. All right, let's go to Jeff. Hello, Jeff.
Yes, I am a 61-year-old white male. I'm not really a Republican or a Democrat. I vote for who I like.
Okay.
For the last 8 years, I've sat and watched the Republican Party fight Obama on everything he tried to do. And I think the American people are just frustrated with the complete Republican Party. And then they end up with this nut from New York named Donald Trump. This is not a reality show. This is for real. People, get real. Think about who you're going to vote to be our next president. Thank you.
What do you want to say how you're going to vote?
Well, I'm going to go with Hillary.
Okay.
I wish Ben Carson had won the election. The nominee.
Right.
But between the two, I've got to go with Hillary for her experience.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for your call. All right. Let's go to the next call. Let's go to Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
Well, I just wanted to comment, pretty much like the last caller, I guess. This country, I can't believe it's in the shape it's in with these two idiots running, especially Trump. I guess if you have the lesser of two evils, when they're both evil, it would be Hillary. So, I don't know. Everything's really a mess. It's scary.
So you're saying you would vote for Hillary as the lesser of two evils?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I hate to say that. I never thought I would say it. But.
All right.
May I make a comment?
Go ahead, yeah.
My friend Kent Seiler and I at MTSU did an article called The Mae West Effect Could Elect Trump This Year. and it's based on West saying whenever she had to choose between the lesser of two evils, she chose the one that hadn't been tried before. And initially, I think there were a lot of people saying, you know, Trump is so different, he's so refreshing, you know, where have we gotten so far? Why don't we try anything? But I think now you get a few more people, especially after the tape, saying maybe we don't want to go quite that far. Maybe the experience, especially in foreign affairs, really will count for something.
Jeff said the debate was tough to explain to his children. What did you think of that debate? How unusual was the tone of that debate?
You know, I think the most unusual thing was probably the pre-game show. You know, trotting out people who were mostly accusing Bill Clinton rather than the person who was running, and then the apparent attempt by Trump's folks to seat them in his family section there, and apparently the debate organizers refused to allow that. But you know, you do have to give it to Trump in terms of, you know, he learned something from being on The Apprentice. He's a consummate showman. Well, you know, whether that's going to win him the election, I don't know. But he certainly knows how to dominate the news.
Right. Let's go to Don. Hello, Don. Don, are you there?
This is Darren.
Darren. I'm sorry, Darren. Go right ahead, Darren.
Okay. I would like to make a comment, if I could, please.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes. My comment is people are kind of drawn to Donald Trump because the Democratic and the Republican Party has gotten very close together and is almost one and the same. And so he is an outsider. I think we put way too much attention on personality over policy. And Hillary Clinton does have the experience, but you have to look at Syria, Libya, Iraq, you know, and all those things. And when she was Secretary of State, she had a good deal to do with that. And so I think you got to have good experience and have accomplishments. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of still undecided.
Okay.
Because of the personality thing. But I need to go with someone who will help the American people with policy and move us forward. Thank you.
All right. He said the two parties were so similar.
And, you know, that is a recurring theme in American politics. Tweedledee-dum and Tweedledee-dee. And traditionally it worked because most Americans had relatively moderate positions. There weren't that many on either side. In recent years, politics has become more bifurcated. And so you have, you know, more staunch liberals and staunch conservatives. And some people, you know, that they revel in the differences. George Wallace, when he ran for campaign, for president, he used to say, "There's not a dime's worth of difference between the two major political parties."
Right.
And one of his appeals was, you know, he was going to tell it as it is. And to some extent, you saw a little bit of that with the Perot candidacy. And
right,
again,
right.
You know, you have a business person sort of coming in with very little, probably no elected experience. But as Darren is pointing out, Clinton has a lot of experience, but some people question, did she learn from her experience? And so that's sort of the conflict.
All right, we're going to take a break. Ton of calls. We're going to take a break, get back to your calls. I'm also going to read some comments, if anyone leaves comments, on my Facebook page at NC5_Ben Hall. NC5_Ben Hall. I'll read some comments if there's some there. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.